For over 2 decades, Sarah and Mark Jensen built what appeared to be an idyllic life in Maple Creek, Ohio. Their home was filled with laughter, shared dreams, and the quiet comfort of a marriage rooted in deep trust. Sarah believed she knew every facet of the man she loved, a devoted husband and successful software engineer. Mark's career often demanded frequent business travel, a common reality in the tech world. He'd be away for days, sometimes a week, jetting between client sites across the Midwest. Sarah, a marketing director, understood the demands, and their routine felt stable, predictable, and reassuringly normal for many years. The first flicker of doubt emerged subtly in late 2022, not as a thunderclap, but a barely perceptible whisper. While sorting through their joint credit card statements, Sarah noticed a series of recurring small charges. They were for a local coffee shop and a dry cleaner, in a town Mark claimed he never visited. Sarah initially dismissed it, attributing it to a billing error or a temporary stopover Mark had forgotten. Her analytical mind, trained in pattern recognition, couldn't shake the unease. She rationalized, "Mark is so busy, it must be nothing significant." However, the inconsistencies began to accumulate. A GPS tracker in Mark's work car, intended for business expenses, sometimes showed him stationary for hours outside of major cities. He'd explain it away as unexpected detours or bad signal areas. Then came a package, delivered to their home but addressed to Mark, containing a child's toy. They had no young children, and their nieces and nephews were far older. Mark mumbled something about a secret Santa for a colleague's kid, which seemed flimsy. Sarah's once unshakable trust began to erode, replaced by a growing internal conflict. She felt guilty for even questioning, yet compelled to find answers. The woman who meticulously planned marketing campaigns now found herself applying those skills to her own life, discreetly. She started cross-referencing Mark's travel logs with receipts and bank statements. The pattern was undeniable. Certain weeks he was on business in Toledo or Cleveland, Ohio, but his credit card showed transactions solely in a small town called Fairview, Pennsylvania. This wasn't a one-off error. These Fairview weeks had been occurring with striking regularity for years. The coffee shop, the dry cleaner, even grocery stores in Fairview, Pennsylvania, appeared on their joint account. Her heart pounded with a terrible premonition. Sarah began to search public records, a skill she developed for market research. She looked up Mark Jensen in Fairview, Pennsylvania. Initially, nothing matching their exact details appeared, which provided momentary relief, quickly followed by deeper suspicion. She broadened her search, using variants, middle names, even just the Fairview address from those coffee receipts. It was tedious, painstaking work, fueled by a fear she couldn't name. She felt like an amateur detective in her own life. Then, late one night, a search yielded a property deed from the Fairview County Registrar's office. It was for a modest 3-bedroom house, purchased 15 years ago, in the name of Mark Jensen and Rebecca Hayes. Rebecca Hayes. The name echoed in the silent room. The discovery of the deed, registered to Mark Jensen and Rebecca Hayes in Fairview, Pennsylvania, shattered Sarah's world into a million pieces. Disbelief quickly morphed into a cold, terrifying certainty. This wasn't a mistake, it was evidence of a profound, devastating secret. She couldn't confront Mark yet. Sarah needed more than a name on a document, she needed irrefutable proof, understanding of the full scope. Her meticulous nature, once a professional asset, became her tool for survival in this unimaginable crisis. She moved with quiet determination. Sarah discreetly contacted a private investigation firm, Vigilance Investigations in nearby Cleveland. She explained her suspicions, providing the Fairview address and Mark's travel schedule. The lead investigator, a seasoned former detective named Ben Carter, listened with a grave expression. Within days, Ben Carter delivered his initial findings. He confirmed Mark Jensen resided at the Fairview address. More shockingly, he provided utility bills, a vehicle registration, and a Pennsylvania driver's license matching Mark's photo, but listing the Fairview address as primary. The true horror began to unfold with Ben's next update. Surveillance photos revealed Mark entering the Fairview house with a woman, Rebecca Hayes, and 2 young children, a boy and a girl, appearing to be around 10 and 12 years old. They looked like a family. 15 years. Mark had been living a complete double life for 15 years. Sarah did the math, the house purchase, the children's ages. This other family began just 5 years into their own marriage, while she was building a future with him in Ohio. The emotional devastation was immeasurable. Sarah felt a profound sense of betrayal, not just of her trust, but of their entire shared history. Every anniversary, every intimate moment, every declared "I love you" felt like a lie, meticulously crafted and sustained. She immediately sought legal counsel. Attorney Eleanor Vance, a family law specialist known for her discreet yet assertive approach, confirmed the gravity of the situation. Bigamy is a felony in most U.S. states, including Ohio and Pennsylvania. Beyond the criminal aspect, there were complex financial entanglements. Mark had likely been using joint assets, potentially even Sarah's income, to support his second family. This meant a lengthy and painful process of asset division and forensic accounting. Eleanor advised Sarah to gather every piece of evidence. Bank statements, travel logs, communication records, and Ben Carter's comprehensive report became an arsenal. This was no longer just about discovery, it was about preparing for battle. The week leading up to Mark's next return was agonizing. Sarah rehearsed confrontations in her mind, oscillating between righteous fury and gut-wrenching grief. She decided to be calm, collected, and armed with undeniable truth. She would not let him lie his way out. On Tuesday evening, Mark's car pulled into their driveway. He walked through the front door, oblivious, briefcase in hand, a familiar smile on his face. Sarah stood in the living room, a thick folder of evidence clutched tightly, her eyes fixed on him. Mark's smile faltered as he saw Sarah's stony expression and the ominous folder in her hands. She laid out the evidence, piece by damning piece, the Fairview deed, the surveillance photos, the bank statements. His initial shock turned to denial, then a desperate, pathetic plea for forgiveness. The confrontation lasted hours, a slow-motion car crash of revelations and justifications that offered no true explanation. Mark admitted everything: the second family, Rebecca Hayes, the 2 children he'd raised parallel to his life with Sarah. He cited loneliness, pressure, and making a mistake. The legal ramifications were swift and severe. In Ohio, bigamy is a felony, punishable by imprisonment. The divorce proceedings were complex, tangled by the revelation of hidden assets and the financial support provided to 2 households for over a decade. Sarah filed for divorce on grounds of extreme cruelty and bigamy. Psychologists confirm that betrayal of this magnitude can cause PTSD, depression, and anxiety in victims. Sarah experienced all of it, a profound emotional wound that would take years to heal. The revelation devastated Rebecca Hayes and her children in Fairview. They, too, were victims, innocent pawns in Mark's elaborate deception. Rebecca faced the shock of learning her husband was legally married to another woman for most of their relationship. Mark faced criminal charges in Pennsylvania for bigamy and potentially for fraud. His once respected career was ruined, his reputation shattered. The dual life he so meticulously crafted for 15 years imploded, leaving wreckage in both communities. Financially, the fallout was messy. Mark's assets were divided between Sarah and Rebecca to provide for child support and spousal support, as mandated by law. Forensic accountants uncovered years of hidden accounts and diverted funds, complicating the process significantly. Sarah leaned heavily on her friends, family, and a strong support group for women who had experienced similar betrayals. She found strength in sharing her story, realizing she was not alone in her pain, despite the unique horror of Mark's deceit. Therapy became a cornerstone of her healing journey. She worked through the anger, the grief, and the profound questions about what she thought was real. Slowly, deliberately, Sarah began to rebuild her sense of self, separate from Mark's shadow. Years passed. Sarah emerged from the wreckage not unscathed, but undeniably stronger. She learned profound lessons about trust, vigilance, and the importance of knowing oneself, independent of a partner. Her experience became a cautionary tale, but also one of resilience. The long-term psychological effects of such deception linger, like phantom pains. Victims often struggle with intimacy, trust, and even their own judgment for years. However, stories like Sarah's highlight the incredible human capacity for healing and moving forward. Sarah's journey stands as a stark reminder: how well do we truly know those closest to us? What secrets might lie beneath the surface of even the most seemingly perfect lives? And what incredible strength do we find when those hidden truths are finally brought to light?